Here is, as far as I know, the world's only in-flight safety card written in Yiddish. Advertisements are a great collectible. This one, No Goose, No Gander, includes this current one, a destination set, different places. This one here is the USA. Hard to find are the old uniforms that were worn in the colorful area of the early 70s. This was El Al's first flight attendant to serve the United States. These are examples of China that have been used on El Al flights. One of El Al's most famous and noted keychains, or some of the button souvenirs going back to the early 50s, and airline postcards in the world from all types. This shows one of El Al's saving some of the old internal El Al company magazines. Of course, historical photographs are very important. As far as I know, this is the only color photograph, and it really is God. It's God cats. Captains, pilots, flight attendants. Many of the items I get are from other aviation collectors who look out for El Al materials. I started by developing a very large collection of antique airline postcards. And
when was that?
That was in the 70s, early 70s. And like any other collectible group, there are annual conventions where hundreds and thousands of people come to gather and exchange ideas and airline memorabilia in this case. And I noticed that there had been some great airline histories written. Some airlines like Pan Am, for example, Air France, but there hadn't been a really comprehensive history written about El Al. And I had started the flying to Israel every year starting in 1978. And I noticed it was very difficult to find memorabilia about El Al. Perhaps security was a reason, and perhaps another reason was since Israel and the Jewish people had a background going back, say, 2,000 years, El Al at that time was less than 40 years young, and so anything that was young probably wasn't worth saving, I guess was the idea. And I said, gosh, it would be really nice to try to develop a history of El Al. And I started collecting materials of the airline. I would visit company people at the head office. I would find out who some of the old timers were and started interviewing them. I started visiting people in the States who had formerly been with the airline and so on. And that's how I started collecting the material. At first I thought it would just be perhaps a small book of some kind, a few notes and collections of pictures. But at the airline conventions I had been going to, I approached the leading aviation artist, Mike Mashat, and said, Mike, I wish you could do a cover for this small book that I'm going to do. And he said, well, what's the book about? I said, it's going to be about El Al Airlines. He said, well, you know, I would love to do the cover for that. And I would also love to design the book for you because I'm really interested in Israel aviation as well. And after that convention, the next day I got a call from the leading aviation publisher in the United States, John Wegg. And he said, I heard you want to do a book about El Al. He said, we would love to publish a book on El Al. So here, in just a matter of a couple days, I suddenly had the designer, the publisher, I was going to write it, I was collecting the material and doing the interviews, and basically the three of us put together the first airline history of El Al, called El Al Star in the Sky, which was published in 1990. That's how I got started.